For years, people have been trying to get better times, and they had 5.57s, but they couldn't do any better, and they figured that it was just some emulation inaccuracy or some trick that they just hadn't found. So at one point, somebody in the thread says, until somebody actually goes and disassembles the game, we're not going to figure anything else out here. And like, well, wait a moment, I can do that. My day job, I do cybersecurity research, so I have formal training in reverse engineering stuff.
This is the guy that exposed Todd Rogers in 2018, 2 years ago, for making a fake dragster 551 world record. The 35-year-old run that nobody was able to beat was uncovered to be fake by this guy who disassembled the code. He has a great reputation for this, and everybody supports him. But something's been bothering me about this guy because he is a cheater and nobody seems to acknowledge this, including OmniGamer himself. On August 5th, OmniGamer made a tweet saying, "Hey y'all, don't cheat at speedruns. Doesn't matter if the game has a small following or a huge community. It makes a mockery of those that explored and routed the game, ruins expectations for those that follow, and is just not cool. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk." I find this incredibly hypocritical and a little bit ridiculous, but the thing that bothers me and has been bothering me since 2018 is that every time I try to tell people that OmniGamer definitely cheated 14 years ago, everybody ignores it, including OmniGamer. He refuses to actually respond to this stuff. And I know he's seen my tweets on this. 14 years ago, OmniGamer used to play a game called Toho. Toho is a game where you dodge enemy projectiles on a top-down map and then try to take a picture of the enemy Toho, and you gain points if it's an interesting picture. Kinda like Pokemon Snap without the Pokemon and a lot of projectiles. The game's very popular because there's so many particles on screen. It's very hard to dodge everything. In fact, it kind of popularized this game genre and this game idea. There's a lot of fan culture around the Toho characters as well, but that's a different story. What we have here is one of OmniGamer's scores. The problem, though, is that pretty much all of OmniGamer's scores that he uploaded to his YouTube channel are either completely fake or most likely fake. Even looking at the comments, people didn't believe it back then. RazGrizz3 says, "Looks kinda fake." Dre and Lol 13 years ago, "What the hell? That video doesn't even look legit. I don't even know how to look to dodge all that from so close. Dodging at the bottom where bullets go slowly is really, however. Did you have low FPS when you did that? Or you practiced like crazy?" This was a time when cheating was very common and not many people really expected it. Now guys, if you think OmniGamer cheating in Toho in 2006 is not a big deal, I'll agree with you on that. I don't think anybody in the speedrun community would care if OmniGamer cheated in Toho 14 years ago. This is not a big deal. But I find it hypocritical because OmniGamer himself says it doesn't matter if the game has a small following or a huge community. He himself acknowledges that cheating's bad no matter where it is. Yet he's a cheater that refuses to acknowledge that he cheated. How do we know he cheated? Well, I've talked to a lot of Toho players and they all think the gameplay is completely ludicrous and makes absolutely no sense. But they also claim the FPS rate drops and that is indicating cheating. In Toho, since there's so many particles on screen and it's pretty hard to dodge them, if you pause the game, you can still see your character and you can slowly move your character around, dodging the particles with the help of pause buffers. What you would then do is save a replay, and if you save a replay with these pause buffers, the replay does not show these pause buffers. Watch this demonstration from one of the best Toho players, Chum.
So you can have 3 different movement speeds in this game, and OmniGamer chooses the unfocused speed for the whole thing, which no one that scores would do that. So this is presumably how OmniGamer played the game. All of these bullets are random. can see how it's not very challenging when you do it like this, right? Now, let's check out the replay. So, you can see how all of that was pause buffered and none of that was real. I was basically playing at 10 FPS and had some superhuman reading. Now, just to make sure you guys understand just how fucking hard this is to do without pause buffering, alright, I'll just show you. All of these bullets are fast, curving, and random. Also, there's no reason to do this for score to begin with. It doesn't score any higher to do this. So trying to set world records with this strat, like OmniGamer did in 2006, is nonsense.
Now Chum says if you do a pause buffer on very old computers, which in 2006 was the standard, then the frame rate in the bottom right corner will shoot down. This in the replay still has the frame rate shoot down even though the pause buffer doesn't show on screen. So every time the frame rate massively goes down, that's where we can assume OmniGamer used a pause buffer and made an illegal score. For example, look at this score on Shoot the Bullet X7. He's walking around the particles and charging up, and he's about to take a picture. He squeezes his way through to take a picture of Marissa, and as he goes in there, you can see the frame rate drastically drop. Let's watch that one more time. This is because he was using pause buffers, and in the replay, there are no pause buffers. You can actually see him load the replay for this game file in the beginning of this video. Normally, if you take a picture of the Tohos, the frame rate's going to go down. That's normal, that's typical of the game. It's not supposed to change outside of anything except for taking a picture. Here's an explanation from Chum.
In the bottom right, there is an FPS counter, which says 60. In the top, there's an FPS counter, which also says 60. The bottom right one is the FPS counter of the replay, whereas the top one is the real-time FPS counter that you're seeing right now. So if the bottom right FPS counter is weird, that means there's something weird going on with the replay. And on older computers, the FPS counter would go down every time you're pause buffering. The FPS counter would go down a bunch to like around 50. It was pretty normal, which is what's happening in all of OmniGamer's videos.
Now, personally, I don't think this is super conclusive, so I asked a competitive Toho Discord what they thought about these runs, and they all said this is definitely fake. There's no question. The gameplay's not good. It's not smart. It is certainly fake. On top of that, the frame rate is indicating pause buffers, which are illegal. Some guy even responded to one of the comments from 11 years ago and said, I can't tell if it's real or not. Guy 16 hours ago said, update, it's not. Poland then responded, says, myself from 11 years ago, thanks. Yeah, these cheating scandals don't go away. They still exist in people's mind. People always wonder. Cheating like this does in fact ruin communities, and it does make people distrust each other. It does leave a stain. And I think it's really hypocritical that OmniGamer actually cheated and it refuses to address this. Yet he has the gall to preach about cheating and how bad it is. I think also because OmniGamer spends so much time trying to sell his book, he should at least be honest with everybody about what he did. Look, I don't think him cheating in Toho 14 years ago when it was pretty easy to cheat, anybody will care. Why is he not being honest about this though? One other issue I have about OmniGamer cheating and not addressing it is that he has a bunch of runs on speedrun.com from anywhere 3 to 7 years ago. And to me, it raises questions. If he's not being honest about the Toho runs, what about the other speedruns he's done? I have no idea what most of these runs are, and there's absolutely No way I can verify they're real. I personally don't think they're fake. I think they are real runs, but it does bring up questions. I directly tweeted under OmniGamer and said, I don't know anything about Toho, and I get this is from 2006 and nobody cares, but it seems a bit hypocritical coming from you, OmniGamer, especially because you explicitly said it doesn't matter if the game has a small following or a huge community. Our White Goose, a popular YouTuber, actually responded to me, and he says, I get your point, but people can and do learn from their mistakes. Do you understand the damage cheating at video games can do more than someone who cheated at video games and saw it firsthand themselves? Atoning your mistakes and inspiring a better world is the point of life, which I actually think is totally reasonable and totally fair. Our White Goose actually cheated at GoldenEye a very long time ago. He's very open about this. He's very public about it. There were extraneous circumstances. I don't think our White Goose is a bad person because of this. In fact, I think it has made him a little bit more keen and aware of cheating. It's very possible OmniGamer is the same, except OmniGamer never atoned for him cheating. In fact, he's completely ignoring the situation. And in 2018, when I brought the same thing up, he never once addressed it. Some people think maybe these scores were not competitive, they were task demonstrations. The problem with that is if you read the description, OmniGamer says, my pride and joy, I took a bit of a different approach to this card by trying to stay within the bullet speedy range, and because of that, I was able to get such a great score. Took a very long time to get used to the bullets though. The typical way to go about this mission is to stay on the edge of the circle, looking for opportunities in small gaps to go into the circle before retreating back to the spot. Scoring, total score, 1.1 million. Best Japanese score, 1 million. Other notes, this is currently the top total score listed on the English Toho wiki, in addition to the top overall world score. So he definitely submitted this to a leaderboard, not a task demonstration, for fun on his own. He submitted this competitively. In fact, there's an English Toho wiki scoreboard that is somewhat active currently, the last update in 2019, and OmniGamer's on there. He's the 7th best player on this leaderboard, except virtually all of his scores on his YouTube channel are definitely fake. Why do you have a cheater on this leaderboard? A cheater who uses his reputation and uses his knowledge about gaming to sell a book. I think that's a little bit unfair if he doesn't address this. People often say it takes a cheater to know a cheater. I actually agree with this. I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think people who have been around cheating have more understanding of why people cheat and how frequent and how common it is. I think OmniGamer realizing that Todd Rogers cheated and did not care about Todd Rogers cheating actually would make a lot of sense for this. I have personally been very invested in competitive online gaming communities, and I firsthand seen the problems and seen the weird characteristic traits when people cheat in games. In my opinion, it does leave a stain in the community, and I also would like to see no fake times or fake runs on any leaderboard. I actually genuinely think it doesn't matter how small or large a community is. I don't think you should cheat. And I think if you do cheat, you should be as public and as honest about it as you can be. OmniGamer says this, but until he addresses this very clear situation where he cheated in Toho, he's a liar and he's not telling the full truth. There are people that do play this game seriously, and they do like the game, and they take this type of cheating very seriously. As somebody who did spend so long playing A Link to the Past very seriously, this type of stuff actually does mean a lot to me. So I do think OmniGamer owes the Toho community, the Japanese Toho community, and also specifically Chum an apology for cheating, even if it was a long time ago. I hope he actually responds to this stuff, and in the really uncertain event that he didn't cheat, I would at least hope he comes forward and explains what actually happened or gave his side of the story. At any rate, guys, thanks for watching this video. Leave any comments you have in the description. Like the video if you like the video. And if you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe right now. Join the WQ Nation and you become an alpha gamer. Also, if you guys like my content and want to support the channel, go to my Patreon and make sure to subscribe on my Patreon. or subscribe to me on twitch.tv/WQ. Links are in the description. I'll see you guys on the next video.